Today I will show you how you can create this interesting photo manipulation using just few stock images, and I will show you how you can create trees inside Photoshop using the Photoshop's plugin. Also, I will show you how you can turn a text into a 3D. So let's start. Hey guys, it's Nemanja and welcome to another fun episode. Today we will have a lot of fun creating this interesting photo manipulation out of few stock images, and also you will learn how to select an object, extract it out of the background, match the colors of few different images, and pack everything together into one nice and interesting composite image. So without further ado, let's jump straight into Photoshop and let the fun begin. Today we will start with this image, and first thing that we want to do is to extract this phone out of the background. And for that you can use pen tool, quick selection tool, magic wand tool, lasso tool, basically any tool that you like to use in Photoshop to select the object and later extract it out of the background. If you're not familiar with the selection tools in Photoshop, you can watch my tutorial on how to select anything in Photoshop, and the link is right here. Okay, I already did it using a pen tool, just trace it around the phone and that's it. So if you're not familiar with the pen tool, again, you can watch my tutorial about just the pen tool, it's right here. Right, and this is how it looks when the phone is extracted. So now I will create a new background instead of the first one that we had. So I will go one layer down below and go to gradient adjustment layer. I love to use adjustment layers because they are a non-destructive way to retouch the images. So I will go and choose some different colors. For example, I will use, for the bright colors, I will use white, right? And for the darks, I will use some bluish tint. We can always change this. And I don't want this color to transparent. I want to use actually the first one color to another. So I need to do this one more time. White and some bluish tint for this one. So maybe this, we will see. I will press OK and I will change from linear to radial, and I will make it bigger. I will scale this a lot. And for now, let's leave it like this. We will see if we will change the tonality of this color, etc. So let's unzoom it a little bit. And now we need to go and load other images in here. So first, I like to use this one. I will copy this image and paste it back here. And before I do anything, I need to make mask the selection to turn it into mask. So I want to select just this black screen, and for that I will use the magic wand tool. Why not just click and make sure that phone layer is selected. Just click and that's it. We have a selection. Now let's go to our first layer and make it visible and just click on the layer mask. And now we have a new phone background. Now I want to unlink the chain icon between the layer and the mask to have the opportunity to freely move this left and right however I want. So maybe I will put it something like this. Let me see, just maybe there is something more interesting. Maybe this, maybe. This is pretty much okay. And I will leave it like this for now. We can always move and change this, and that's the beauty of these things here in Photoshop, right? And now we'll go and load another background, this one. I just want to use a part of this background, so let's go back, paste it right here, and I just want to use the same layer mask that I had for this layer down below. I will press and hold Alt or Option key on a Mac and just click and move it up. So now I have the same background, the same layer mask for another background, right? And now I'll move this too. But before I do this, I like to get rid of these white parts here. So let's just, for a second, in a disable layer mask, to disable layer mask, just press Shift and hold Shift and just click on the layer mask, and that's it. Right, I will use again magic wand tool and just select white parts, and that's it, just delete it. And we are ready to go. So now I will go and put this a little bit here down below, maybe right here, because I want to merge those two images together to have impression that this is downhill and then it's going a little bit uphill towards the phone screen. Okay, and of course now we need to match those colors because they are completely different tonality of the scent. So to do that, this is really easy, but before that I like to go to the mask and just correct this. I will use a brush, black brush, and a little bit harder, maybe 50%. Just correct this edge. That's it, nothing fancy, nothing special, just to erase this a little bit. All right. And now I will use, for example, hue and saturation adjustment layer just to match those two colors. So let's go here, hue and saturation, clip it to effect only. Let's name this sand 1, really creative, and sand 2, even more creative. All right, and now I will go and just change the color of the sand. So something like this. Then we need to lower the saturation and maybe lower the brightness too. So if we can zoom it, this is not bad. Just maybe a little bit more with the saturation up, and this is really nice. So we match these two tones to, they're almost exactly the same. Now I will go again to the layer mask of the sand 2 layer and use a brush, really soft one, and I just want to lower the opacity to maybe 20 or 30% and just to blend this 2 layers a little bit better, nothing else, just to do that really quickly. Okay, like this, and I will go with white color to bring back some parts, and this is really nice. So these 2 sand images are now matched to have really nice one image out of those 2. Okay, the next step is to bring the camel in the scene, so let's go do that. Let's find the camel image, is this one right here, and before I put it on the scene, I want to extract only this camel from this image. Of course, you can use both of them, you can use anything that you want, be creative, make a little bit different photo manipulation that I'm doing right now. So to extract this camel out of the background, I will use the advantage of a new version of Photoshop, CC 2018, and select subject option. So to go to this option, you need to use any of selection tools, for example, magic wand or quick selection tool, and just go and click select subject. And Photoshop will try to determine what is the subject on this image and select it automatically. As you can see, Photoshop selected both of those camels. So I don't need this camel here. I will use the lasso tool, press L on the keyboard and press and hold Alt or Option key to minus out this selection. All right, and now I will use quick selection tool and go again, press Alt or Option key to minus this part, just to refine those edges a little bit better. Okay, and let me see, this is pretty much good. This is pretty much good. I don't like this part, so let's refine this too. Alright guys, and now I will go to select and mask to refine those edges a little bit more. I will use a smaller brush and just go and refine this a little bit to have a little bit better selection. Actually, we don't need to go so detailed in this because this camera will not be so big, but I just want quickly to do this. Okay, and just a tail here, and basically that's it. We can always use a brush to tweak some other things here if we mess something up, like this part of the head, but doesn't matter. Let's press OK, and now we have this camel. I will just press layer mask option here, and that's it. I have only this camel. I don't care about those legs, you will see later why. So I will just go and copy this to our document right here and paste it right there. So I will move it, position it where I want this camel to be, for example right here, why not? And now I will zoom this and clear up this mess. So I can just go and use the selection that we already created for the screen and press Ctrl or Command key and click on that to load only this selection. As you can see, I just loaded the selection of the screen, and I need to invert this selection. To invert it, just press Shift Ctrl I or Shift Command I on a Mac, and we are ready to go. Now let's go to the layer mask of the camel. Let's name this camel. All right, and use a black brush. Okay, 100% opacity, and just erase this. So now we have impression that the camel has some part, 2 legs in the phone, and part of the camel it's already went out of the phone. So this is really nice. We can go and tweak some things here if we messed. If we didn't select that really good, but it's nothing crucial, so I'll just fix this. Actually, I don't need to fix this because the camel is really small, so this is not so visible, but it's always better to fix this kind of stuffs. All right, and I don't like this part and this part. Okay, and now everything is really nice. Right guys, and now I'll show you how you can use the Photoshop CC 2018 filter render trees to add some trees in the scene. Let's do it. Alright, let's first create a new empty layer and then let's go to filter, render and tree. And we have a new dialog box here and we can choose among 32 different trees. So we can choose this one, we can choose oak tree. And the beauty of this, we can change the leaves amount, light direction, leaf size, etc. So I will go and find the palm tree. It's right here. And this is how the palm tree looks. So I can change the leaves amount. That's the option that's available. Light direction. So that's really nice because we can play with light direction. So our light direction is something like this. And we can randomize the position and the trees, leaves position and the branch and this trunk, or how you call it, right? And when we are satisfied with that, we can press OK. And now we have really nice palm tree here on the scene. And what I want to do before I tweak this, I want to add another palm tree. So another empty layer, go to filter, render, trees, and just change here the randomness of that, just to have a little bit different tree. Maybe this is not so nice. This one. Okay, just find something. This is cool. So let's do it. Now we have two different palm trees. Right now I want to change the document size. I will recrop it. So I will press C on the keyboard to enter the crop tool, and I will choose the ratio here 16:9 and make everything a little bit bigger, maybe like this. Let me see, maybe put it down here and move it like this, and I will press OK. And the beauty of using a gradient adjustment layer is that no matter how big or small document size you have, recrop it later, it will still fill whole document with that. So maybe even bigger. We can always change this later if it's too big. So this looks nice. And now I'll go and rename those palm trees. So this will be palm 1, again really creative naming, and this is palm number 2 with some space between letters and numbers. Okay, like this. And I will move both of those palm trees just down below under the phone. And let's go to palm number 1, move it right here, make it bigger, press Ctrl Command T and just make it a little bit bigger like this. Let me see, maybe even more. And now I can change the shape of the trunk here. So I will go to Edit and Puppet Warp. If you're not familiar with the Puppet Warp, you can watch my tutorial about that right here. Okay, and I will just go expand this a little bit like this and add few of those points. So maybe like this. Why not? Press OK and put it just behind the phone. I don't want this to be visible, so this is nice. Maybe to rotate it even more and like that. Not bad. Let me see, maybe a little bit more up like this, and I'm satisfied with that. Let's go to another one, to this one, and I will make it smaller with Ctrl Command T like this. And of course I will go to Edit, Puppet Warp, and just expand this a little bit and just play with the shape. Maybe just use this shape, and again I can go and rotate this to have something like that. All right, and I will go and use the eraser tool and just erase this. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it. So this is already looking nice composite image. So we need to add few details. We need to add some shadows. We need to add some maybe debris from the sand, etc. And maybe I want to change the position of this palm tree. I don't like it like that. So I will just undo a few steps and go to edit, puppet warp again. Everything is the same. So maybe I want to have like this. I don't know. You need to experiment to see what suits best for you and then play with that. So maybe this is okay. And yes, for now let's leave it like this. Right guys, the next step is to add some shadows from the phone, from the camel, and from those palm trees. So let's do that. And before we do that, let's just select this palm tree. I just want to make it smaller. I like it a little bit smaller, so something like this is good, and just put it behind here. And I'm more satisfied with this, just to have two different sizes, more obvious difference, and that's it. Of course, it's up to your taste, do whatever you want. And now let's create some shadows. I will go just here under the palm number 1 and create new empty layer where will we add those shadows. So let's first create the shadow from the phone. The easiest way to do that, because the shape of the phone it's almost rectangular, we will just select the phone, whole phone, by pressing Ctrl Command and click on the phone layer and fill it with a black color. If the black is, in this case, background color, you need to press Ctrl and backspace to fill it with the black. Then deselect with Ctrl Command D, press Ctrl or Command T, and by holding Ctrl or Command key, I just want to move this center point down. So I will have something like this. And still I will hold Ctrl Command key and move those points up and down, left and right to find the proper position. Let's zoom this a little bit and just use that, and I think this is okay. If you want to hide this transform lines, just press Ctrl Command H, and now you have hide that, and you can move with the arrows up, down, left and right. And if you want to show them again press Ctrl or Command H, and that's it. Right, I'm satisfied how this looks. I will press OK, and I have my first shadow ready to go. And now I want to change the opacity of the shadow and the blurriness of the shadow. So the shadow here under the phone is really sharp, and then the shadow is going away from the phone needs to be a little bit more blurry. So I will use this blur tool and just blur this even more, and this just a little bit. I will go with the strength around 20% and just blur this part a touch, all right? And again 100% and blur this even more. And of course you can spend even more time doing this, making this better, etc. But for the sake of this tutorial, this is more than good. All right, now I'll put a layer mask on the shadow layer, phone shadow. Okay, and now I will go and make the further part of the shadow less visible, more transparent. So to do that, I can use two ways. I can go with a gradient filter and choose black to transparent or black to white, it doesn't matter, and just go and do things like this. Okay, and that's one way. Another way is just to use a big soft brush, right? Big soft brush with a black color, and just again do the same. So whatever works best for you, do that. I will just go, and now I will lower the opacity a little bit, so that's great. And this part I want to make a little bit more transparent, so that's okay. Right guys, and for now this is really good. Now let's go and make two shadows from those palm trees. So let's create another layer, palm number 2 shadow, okay, because this is palm number 2, okay. And now I again need to select whole palm tree by pressing Ctrl or Command key and click on the palm layer and go to palm shadow number 2 and again fill it with a black, Ctrl or Command backspace, and that's it. Deselect, press Ctrl Command T, and by holding Ctrl or Command just move this down and just play with this. All right, I will just go and put this, because this palm tree is basically behind the phone, just the part of the palm tree will be visible. So let me see, only the part, so maybe some leaves, and right click and warp it, and just maybe this part of the branch will be visible, other thing will not be visible. Okay, and that's it. I will press enter, and again I need to blur this a little bit, so I need to blur this a lot. Okay, this just a little bit, and now I need to erase everything that is overlapping with the shadow of the phone. So let's select the shadow of the phone like this, press again Control or Command and click on the layer you're selecting, that layer, making selection around the shape of the layer. And now I will go here and just click on the layer mask. I need to invert the layer mask, and that's it. Now I have only parts of the palm tree that are out of the phone shadow. And now what I like to do is to select this shadow. Actually even better, I will go right click and apply layer mask. So now I have only the layer, make new layer mask, and just by pressing and holding Alt or Option key, just drag this and apply it. So now I have two layer masks, and I need to lower the opacity. This is 49, so I will make this 49 too. And I have two really nice same shadows. What I notice right now is that I have a corner of the palm tree that I don't like, so I'll go right here, eraser, and just erase that. And let's do exactly the same for the second palm tree, actually for the first one. So let's create a new layer. Let's rename it to palm number 1 shadow. Okay, and do completely the same procedure. Control Command, click on the palm 1 to load the selection around it. Go to palm 1 shadow, okay, and fill it with the black. Then deselect it, press Control Command T, and by holding Control Command just drag this down, and that's nice. So let me see, just move those points by holding Control Command key, and this palm tree needs to be a little bit in this direction, all right, and even bigger than the size, and smaller in this way, the length of the shadow of the phone. So it needs to be longer than the phone shadow, and I think this is okay. Let's move it a little bit here, and just move this a little bit more, and when we are satisfied, let's press OK, blur it again, just blur this a lot because it's really far away. It will be more blurred than this closer part of the shadow. Okay, and now again we need to select the phone shadow, and let's just use eraser this time, erase everything that is inside. So this is inside, deselect, and just copy this same layer mask to this palm tree layer and lower the opacity to 49%, and we are done. Of course, if you want this part of the palm tree to be a little bit more visible, you can always go and use white color, really soft brush. Let's use brush, really soft white color, maybe 10 or so percent opacity, and just bring it a little bit more. Maybe 10 is too much, 5, and just try a few times like this, and that's great. And now let's add some shadows from the camel, and we are done with the shadows. So we will use the original camel shadow. So let's zoom this, and let's go to the camel layer and create a new layer just above it, all right? And now press and hold Shift and click on this. So now we have our camel visible. I will use the lasso tool, press L on the keyboard, and I will trace this original shadow, but I will not go and trace those curves, because those curves are there because of the sand three-dimensionality, right? So I'll just go like this, go here, right, and maybe use this part, then go to this leg right here. We can always correct this later, so go around it and just take your time, do this slowly, and go here, and we are done. Okay, now let's press again Shift and click on the layer mask to hide that, and now we need to fill this layer with black again. So Control or Command and backspace, and now we have our shadow ready. Let's move the shadow just under the camel layer. Name this camel shadow. Okay, and now we need to correct first this shadow a little bit. This is too thin here. I will use black brush, harder brush like this. Let me see. And 100% opacity, that's nice. So I just want to make this more curves here. So like this, and here a little bit more of this. So this doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to sell the story. So this is nice. And now what I like to do is to change the overlapping shadow with the font. So there are a few ways how you can do that. I will show you just one of them. I can go and select, I'm using a pen tool, just select the edge of the phone and around the shadow, okay, and press Control or Command Enter, and now we have selection around this part of the shadow. And what I like to do now, press Control Command T, again by holding Control Command, just move this up, like that, and again we can use warp to warp this a little bit. So of course we can always paint here again if you're not satisfied how this looks, but for now that's okay. Right, let me see, and that's it. I will press Enter and we are almost done. I will just move it right here and deselect it. Now I'll use a brush and just fill those gaps here, and I need to blur those parts a little bit to fix it, because now it's not so nice. Or I can use the eraser tool and just erase this, make it a little bit better. I will use maybe 40% opacity and just erase this. Okay, and we will not have shadow on the screen, so we will fix that too. So let me just first fix these parts here. Okay, and with the brush tool just fill those gaps, and that's it. Now what I like to do again to load the phone screen, so this is the phone screen, and use eraser and just erase the shadow from there and lower the opacity of the shadow like this, maybe 40 or so percent. Let me see. This is really nice. What we can do is even go here and play with this, and of course we can erase it later. So let's do it like this. Let me see, that's not bad. And I will use eraser this time and just erase this and erase this. Of course we can again lower the selection, but this is faster. So this will sell the story. I really like it. What I don't like here is this part of the shadow that I like to correct. So this is the phone shadow. Let's go to phone shadow, layer mask, and just erase this part. I will leave the first part there. So this is it, guys. We are done with the shadowing. Now the next step will be to correct the colors of the palm trees. So let's go to the palm number 1, and I will use the hue and saturation adjustment layer, clip it to that, and just change, you can see, change the saturation, actually the hue and the saturation, maybe saturate it a little bit, and change the hue towards the reds a little bit, because now it's too yellowish, too greenish, so I don't like that. So now like this, it's a little bit better, and I can go and do exactly the same for the palm 2. Just drag and drop and copy it here, and now this is much better. So we can group the palms, or we can add even more dodge and burn to the palms or the camel, etc. So we will see that a little bit later. And now what I like to do is to add a bird right here. So let's find our bird, and first let's select it, extract it out of the background, and then copy it to our document. So I will again use the advantages of Photoshop select subject algorithm. So click that and Photoshop will select the eagle. Here I will go to select and mask and refine that a little bit. So it's not perfect, but it's real nice. It will make my process a little bit faster. So I will just go here and refine this. And later I will show you how we will get rid of those bluish things in the feathers. So let's just refine this first. Let me see, we are basically done. Let's press OK, click on the layer mask, and we are done. I will copy this and go here and paste it. Now let's paste it all the way, maybe just here, okay? And clip this back because I messed that up. So I will press Ctrl Command T, make the eagle smaller, and put it right here. We can always change the size, but let's hide this. I like it like that, maybe just a touch smaller, and that's it. Right now, if this is too blue, for example, let me show you just really quickly. If you have different color background, for example, background that is yellow, greenish, yellowish, I don't know, greenish color, and we have this blue from a previous background, so we need to fix that. And to fix that, let's go to our eagle layer, let's rename it, right, eagle, and really easy fix. Go use hue and saturation adjustment layer, clip it to affect only the eagle, and go to blues and just desaturate blues, or just change towards the color that the background is and just match with the saturation and hue that color, right? And that's the easy fix, right? Because our background is blue, I'll just go and erase this. I will go to the eagle, let me see, and what I need to do here, blues, and just a little bit more, I can make the blues brighter like this, and that's it. This is really, really nice. So maybe it's too bright, but that's really good. Let me see before, yeah, after it's much better. So this is, guys, almost done. Right, the next step is to add some text, to turn it into 3D, and later add some more effects and finalize the image. So let's do it. Okay, I will just press T on a keyboard and start typing a text. Let's type smartphone, right, then desert edition. It's too small now, you cannot see, but I will make it bigger, and this will be photo manipulation tutorial. Okay, and now I will make everything bigger by pressing Ctrl Command T and just make it bigger. That's good. Now select this one. And guys, to select specific layer on the screen, just press Ctrl and click on that layer while using a move tool, or you have this auto select option, so you can select that, and now whatever you clicked, it will be selected. So I don't like that. I like to use Ctrl and click. So that's the way how I'm working. So desert edition, let me see, this needs to be bigger like this. Okay, and this one, smartphone, a little bit bigger too. So I like to change the colors. So smartphone and photo manipulation, I like to make them white. So this will be white. Okay, and smartphone will be white too. And the desert edition will be something different. We will turn the desert edition into a 3D text. Just a quick note before we continue. If you're not seeing a 3D option in your Photoshop version, that's because either your graphic card is not good enough, it's not supporting a 3D, or you're using an older version of Photoshop. So just to have that in mind. All right, let's go back in Photoshop. Okay, now let's select the desert edition text and let's go to 3D and say new 3D extrusion from selected layer. And now the Photoshop will ask us if we want to switch the color space into 3D. We will say yes. And now we have different color space. All right, we have here layers, we have the text, we have the materials, and we have the lights. So I just want to change the light direction. Now the text is black, so we cannot just really easily see how the lights it's affecting the text, but our light is coming from this direction, like this. Okay, and I will go to materials, select all materials, front, back, etc, etc, and I want to change it here to this one. This is something like a sand, closest that we have already predefined as a sand, and it's good enough for our purpose. So now that the material is completely different, we can go to light and you can see how the light is changing by moving this thing right here on the screen. All right, so let's use light in this position. And now we need to render this out. So to do that, we have here render option. We can just click and render it, or how I like to do it, I like to just select the text and then render it. But here, as you can see, we have a shadow. I don't want to have a shadow in the air here, so I will go back to light and just uncheck the shadow option. Now that we have selected this text only, we can go and click the render option. And now we need to wait for a few seconds or a few minutes, depends of our computer configuration, and then we are ready to continue. Alright guys, now that Photoshop rendered this out, I can go and deselect this and change the workspace to my default workspace. So this is it. And I like to right click on our 3D layer now, and I want to rasterize it. So let me see, rasterize 3D. And now I have a regular layer with this text. Okay, that's the first step. Another step is that I want to add a new texture over the top of this texture right here. So I will go and pick this one, the sand number 2. By holding Alt or Option key, I will just duplicate it and put it above the Desert Edition. Okay, and now I will just press Shift and click on the mask to move this to see which part I want to use. Okay, something like that. And what I like to do, I want to get rid of this layer mask. I don't need it. I will go and say delete layer mask, and now clip this layer, the sand, to affect only the Desert Edition layer. So to do that, I will press Alt or Option key and just click in between those two layers, and that's it. So now I can move this layer and see which part I want to use for my effect. So if I'm satisfied with the result, I will just change the blending mode to, for example, soft light, so you can see it's a little bit different, or I can go and change it to overlay, or some other ones. If I want darker, I will change it to multiply, so this will be much darker, but for this situation, soft light, it's really, really good. Okay, now let's go and put this back, make this text a little bit bigger. This is now just, guys, a matter of tweaking, nothing special, nothing fancy. And what I like to do right here, I want to now add some effects. I want to create some flying sand effect to make this image a little bit more interesting and dynamic. And to do that, I will use some debris brushes that I created a lot of tutorials ago. So if you don't know how to create your own debris brushes, go and watch that tutorial. The link is right here. Or you can go to my website and just buy those brushes. The link is down there in the description. All right, let's create a new layer and let's name this debris. And now I like to use my debris brushes. So let's use debris number 1, and this is how the brush looks. This is some crazy debris, and I want to change the color. I want to use this sand color, and first let's add some effect right here. So as you can see, just some flying sand right here from this scene. We don't need to add it a lot, but just a little bit, like it's flying out of this scene. And I need to add a new layer just above everything right here, and that will be debris number 2, because I want to add some sand here too on the screen. And this is great. Let's go to our debris here and use a little bit brighter and maybe bigger ones. And let me see, this is really nice, so let's leave it like that. And now let's go here to the text. Let's create another layer, let's name it text debris, and just pick this color and just put it like this is flying down, maybe here, and just maybe few around here down below and above this. Guys, this is completely optional and you can do this however you want. Invest a little bit more time to make this a little bit more interesting. And what I like to do here right now is to go to desert edition text and create a layer mask and use the same brush with the black color and just delete part of the text that will have impression that the text is actually melting down. The sand is falling apart. So this is really nice touch to finalize this. I will just use those 2-3 letters, and now I will go, I will go and add a little bit more debris right here and here, and that's it. Let me see. Let's zoom it. Yeah, we have really nice effect that this letter is falling apart. Maybe a little bit more here, and we are done. Right guys, now we can merge everything together, add a final color grading at the top of it, and we are done. So let's do it. Right, before we do that, I just want to move the gradient a little bit to the right. So to do that, let's go down where the gradient is, double click on it, and now we can just drag on the screen and move it here. So I want to have like that, and maybe make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and as you can see, I can move it left, right, up and down, position the center of the gradient whenever I want. So I want to be right here, maybe bigger, a little bit more, and that's it. Now we can group everything together. Go to the first layer, press Shift Ctrl Alt T or Shift Command Option E on a Mac, and go to maybe filter, camera raw filter, and just add some color correction at the top of everything. I like to go to hue, saturation, and luminance, and play with saturation of the orange and the yellows a little bit. Green, we can add a little bit more saturation or remove. Blue, the same, we can add more saturation or remove, or even we can go to hue and just change this to something else if we want, maybe to more greenish, just a touch, or no, something like that. And luminance too, we can make this brighter or darker, depends of, but I will leave it as it is, it's good. Let's go here and add a little bit more reddish to the shadows, something like that, and maybe to the highlights some bluish tint, just a touch like that. Let me see before and after, it's good. I want to add a little bit more contrast, dehaze it a little bit, and just a touch of clarity. Before and after, really nice before and after. And maybe to sharpen it a little bit like this. Let me see, before and after, really nice. And we are basically done. I will press OK, and that's it. This is before and this is after. Really small but really nice effect. Right guys, and that's it for today. I really hope that you liked this tutorial and that you learned something new, interesting and fun from this episode. If you have any questions regarding to this episode, please leave them in the comments below. I will be more than glad to answer them. And of course, you can create your own version of this photo manipulation tutorial. You can use a different phone, you can use different elements. The point of this tutorial is to know the techniques and the methods how to use this. And be creative. If you create something really nice and interesting, put it on Instagram, tag me, and I will make sure to check it out. If you want to help me to make this channel even bigger and better, you can do that by visiting my Patreon page. The link is down there in the description, and of course you will get some things in return. If you like this episode and find it helpful, press that like button down below, share it with your friends, and make sure to subscribe if you're not already, and ring that bell button to get notified about all the future episodes. Right guys, have fun and see you in the next one. Bye bye.